Hello all you beautiful gamers out there, it is I, Totem Lord, and yes, it has been a while since I've done a traditional video, but we're back here today, and I'm very excited to show you what I have found out in the wild today. Though it is not an unboxing, but more like an unveiling slash a little bit of a discussion in the video too, and I think you guys will find it very interesting. Now, one thing I will admit is, I am a gamer before I'm a collector. While collecting is very fun, it can be very expensive, and it's definitely got more expensive as the years have gone on. But something that non-gamers, something that non-gamers probably look at gamers for and kind of tilt their heads sideways about is, well, sometimes we go out of our way just to buy the same game over and over on different systems, which is really kind of silly if you think about it. But then again, if you also think about it, can you really own too many copies of Ocarina of Time? I mean, really? I'm pretty sure most of the internet would agree with me on that one, that no, you cannot own too many copies of Ocarina of Time. Or how about Resident Evil? I mean, look at that. Gotta have it on the current Gotta have it on the current generation, am I right? Oh, wait a minute, but I already owned it on the Wii. Had to have it with Wii motion controls. Wait a minute, but before that, we had the Steelbook PlayStation 2 edition. Now that thing is not too shabby if I do say so myself. But wait a minute. Then there was the oh-so-gorgeous Resident Evil 4 GameStop edition. Oh my god, this sucker was pretty. But, I mean, look at that. That is 4 different versions of one game. And that's not even counting like the download-only versions on the different systems. But really, it's really kind of a complicated problem, because why would people buy the same versions on different consoles? You know, I mean, it kind of makes no sense from maybe an outsider's point of view, but really, there could be multiple reasons. One, maybe you just don't feel like untangling, you know, your past system that you put away, or maybe you even sold it and you already got rid of it. So why not just buy it again if you loved it that much? Or maybe they added new stuff to it and you're curious to see, you know, or maybe they added it to a handheld console. Well, one game that I want to take a look at today is over my very favorite Final Fantasy game, and that is Final Fantasy II, Final Fantasy IV originally, but here in the United States it was known as Final Fantasy II, and oh my god did I love this game as a kid. Just everything about it. The characters were great, the music it's probably one of the first times I ever realized that I enjoyed video game music was because of Final Fantasy II. It had just such a grand effect on the feelings and the emotions. So growing up, this was one of my favorite video games. I played it so many times. And how could I resist but to buy it on the PlayStation 1 when it came out? Final Fantasy Chronicles featuring Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger. Now to me, this made sense because one, well, I love Final Fantasy IV just like I stated, and it came with Chrono Trigger. Now, while I had played Chrono Trigger before, I did not own it. I played it because I borrowed it from a friend, and I played the crap out of it because it's, well, everybody knows what Chrono Trigger is. But then, something else happened. We got Final Fantasy IV Advance. OMG. You can take Final Fantasy on the go. Take your favorite Final Fantasy on the go. Sign me up. And not only that, but they added stuff. Now, with the PlayStation 1, they did add they added the cinema scenes, which was really cool. This one added new dungeons at the end of the game, which some people don't like, but I rather enjoy it. I mean, you could add nothing to it, I'd probably still buy it just because I love the game so much. But when they brought it over the DS, shut my mouth. This isn't even a special edition, but it is such a pretty case right there. And the DS was quickly becoming one of my favorite consoles at the time. I mean, heck, I bought the DS just so I could play Final Fantasy III originally, just because it was the first time it had ever been released, so that was really cool to find Final Fantasy IV come out shortly after. But the reason why I dragged you guys out here today is because out in the wild, I found Final Fantasy IV on the PSP. Now, the PSP was never really my go-to system. In fact, I didn't even own one until about maybe 5 years ago. So I never really got to enjoy it in its true glory back in, I don't remember how long it lasted, but I remember the PSP lasted quite a while. It was quite a contender to the Nintendo DS. Now this game right here, I think I knew about it, but this is just something I picked up just because, well, like I said probably half a dozen times now, you could probably make a drinking game in this video. How many times I say, I love Final Fantasy IV. You should give it a shot. Maybe I'll give it a shot. I don't know. But Final Fantasy IV, let's take a look and grade it for a second, just like we do on all my unveiling videos. Final Fantasy IV. Now, the cover there, it's kind of, in a way, like color-wise, it's pretty boring. I love the art on it though, because it's kind of the art style that they kind of gave that that era of Final Fantasy. I can't really describe it, but it looks, you know, very hand-drawn, and I'm not really sure how to describe it. I'm getting over a cold here. I apologize. You know how the whole situation is in the world right now. But and then I cough. But yes, artistically, I love the drawing of it. The color's a little boring, but hey, c'est la vie. The back, one thing that they did add to this version that I thought was cool. It's not the reason why I bought it, because I love Final Fantasy IV. One thing that they added was Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. For those of you that do not know, Final Fantasy IV: The After Years was something that was on WiiWare, and it was download only. Now, while I did download that myself and pay for it, here I am, buying the same version of the game. But silly me, that's just what you do when you love a game and when you're a collector. But here's what I wanted to show off today. Well, the inside of the case, I've not found any PSP cases that are anything spectacular, and this game is of no exception. But it came with a neat little insert for Dissidia 012 or 12, whatever it is you pronounce it. It's got the booklet like normal, which is pretty cool. And the art on the back is actually pretty neat. It's got the New Age characters. For those of you that don't know, Final Fantasy: The After Years continues the story of Cecil and Rose's children. Actually, the next generation. Yeah, like I said, next generation. But anywho, the real kicker here is what I found inside beyond this. If you're a Final Fantasy IV fan like me, you might consider picking one of these up. It's got these neat little cards of all the, well, out of 5 of the main characters on here, and they're pretty sweet. They go off that same art style that I was talking about a minute ago that I couldn't really describe. It's really like a hand-drawn, back it up, it's like a hand-drawn, dark, type art style. It's not too shabby. It's something I really enjoyed from this era of Final Fantasy. There's Cecil. Oh my god, I should have brought some potion. Healed me up here. And then we have Rydia. Now this is a drawing of Rydia that I really don't care for. Most pictures I've seen of Rydia are usually like really well done, and they make her look, well, I'm just gonna say it, they make her look really pretty. I know she's only a fictional character, I'm just saying. And then we have Kain. He looks kind of ominous and kind of, you know, kind of mean right there, which is really cool. There's Kain. And then we have Edge, the overconfident, cocky ninja who thinks he can take on the fire elemental Rubicante all by himself, which I still find hilarious whenever I play the game these days. Last and definitely not least, we have Rosa. Rosa or Kain might be like my favorite cards out of these ones. Just the art style and all that. I think they probably did the best on those ones right there. Yep, definitely should have picked up some potion, but that's okay. But anywho, that's just something I wanted to show off and kind of wanted to discuss. Show off the neat things that come with the Final Fantasy IV PSP game, which I totally did not expect to find. Like I said, I just bought it just to buy it because I love Final Fantasy. Drink. But yeah, what about you guys? What do you think? Do you guys ever buy multiple copies of the same game? Why do you do it? Do you just do it for the next console? Do you do it for prettier graphics? Or do you have a unique reason? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, and if you like what you saw here today, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Also, I am on Instagram. If you look up Totem Lord, I am on there as well. I try to make more posts now that I got more time. Also, there is a Twitch channel I have, Totem Lord Reviews, so come by, check me out, and we'll have just a dandy of a time. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for checking me out, and I will judge you next time.